Hey everyone, my name is Bethany, and my missionary was George Mueller. He is best known for his orphan ministry, and his life was just really marked by just an amazing faith in God and in God's providence, and that's just seen throughout his life in so many different circumstances. George Mueller was born on September 27th of 1805 in Prussia, which is now modern-day Germany. His mother died when he was 14 years old, and he was confirmed in the Catholic Church, but just really didn't understand the gospel until he was in college. He attended a Bible study while he was there, and just really had a understanding of the gospel, but he didn't really have a full heart change until a little bit later, when he was able to take a little bit of a break from the ministry that he was a part of, and he got to learn a little bit more about the doctrines of grace, and he also became a pastor during that time. And right around then, he gave up his salary as a pastor and did not take a salary for the rest of his life. All of his food, all of his money was all provided by the people around him and through the providence of God. He was married and had 4 children, but only one unfortunately survived until adulthood. 2 died of stillbirth, and then another died when he was about 1 year old. George Mueller started the Scripture Knowledge Institute in 1834, and it had multiple branches, but his most popular branch and the one he was most involved with was the orphan ministry. He cared for as many as 2,000 orphans at a time, which totaled to about 10,000 throughout his whole life. He had numerous stories of God's providence through that time, and one of the more famous ones, which you may have seen in Little Veggie Tales snippet during one of their videos, is where they had 300 children sit down for breakfast but had no milk or bread for them to eat. George Mueller prayed to God that he would provide. And amazingly, a knock came at the door, and a baker said that he couldn't sleep the last night and just felt like God was calling him to bring bread to them this morning, so they had bread to eat. And then a little while later, a milk truck broke down outside of their orphanage and had to find a place to give all the milk to so it wouldn't spoil, and so they also had milk. And this is just one of thousands of stories that George Mueller documented in his journals of God's providence and his just amazing faith that God would provide for them. And God showed through every time almost. And so George Mueller died later on in March of 1898 at the age of 92. And he had so many people throughout his life that were just really touched by his ministry. His whole ministry was just really marked by encouraging people to pray and seek God's faithfulness through each of their circumstances, and just showing them that God is ever present with them, even in the little things like bread and milk. God cares intimately about our lives, and he will provide for our needs. But yes, George Mueller's life was just an amazing example of what faith in God will look like and how it can really impact the world around us. So thank you so much. Hope you all have a great night.